Okay, I'm going to do a quick demonstration here on how to create a hotspot slideshow. And you can do this in a number of different ways, but I'll just show you a couple little tricks here. So what we essentially want to do is take an image and overlay hotspots onto it where the students can click on those hotspots and it can lead them to additional information. So one way to do that, and I've just got a blank slide here. I've actually just opened a new presentation and changed the layout to blank. So I have no text boxes or anything because I don't need them for this particular slide, although I could add them if I need to. And I've got a source I'm going to use. Don't tell the students I'm using a wiki source. I would never let my students use that for for a source. I just needed a quick reference. So I'm cheating. And this has the reason I chose this one to use as a demonstration is because it has an image that's kind of the right size that I need, that is labeled for reuse with modification. So I can use this image and I have the right to do so. And then it's even got some links down here to additional information about each of the parts of the diagram. So I'm going to go ahead and use this. And I know that this is labeled for reuse. I looked it up ahead of time. So I'm going to go in here. And what I want to do is make that image the background of this presentation. Now, if you have it pulled up like this, you could go ahead and download it. I actually happen to know that this is available as an option through Google image search. So I'm just going to do that right now. I'll hit background here, and this is going to be the background for my slide so the students can't move it around. I'll do choose image, and I've already typed in parts of a cell under the Google image search option, and there's my cell structure right there. So this is the one I'm going to use, and I hit done. So now that's come in, and if I wanted to have some text, introducing it or something, I could throw a text box up here, or I could change my layout to maybe a caption or title only style, and then I could add that. But what I'd probably do is just put that information on a title slide and use this as my hotspot slide. So now I have numbers already on there. If I needed some kind of icon to indicate where the students could click, you could even go in and do an image search here as an insert and search for something like a plus icon and grab one that's pre-made like this. And if I were to bring in something like that, I want to make sure that it has a transparent background like this one does. Readjust the size by the corner of the image just by dragging until I get it the size that I want. And then I could place that over the top of the space where I want them to click if I really needed some sort of little marker. Now, typically just the image itself is going to be enough. But if the image itself doesn't have any kind of indicator, like even if the numbers weren't here, the little parts would probably be enough. But if it's not, then you can add these kind of little markers. And I don't need that, so I'm going to pull it out. But essentially, instead of a marker, since I have clear definition of where my markers would go, I am just going to add a shape, and it can be whatever shape I want it to be. I typically will choose something like a rounded cornered rectangle, and I just want to make it a little bigger than the item that they're going to click on here, but not so big that it covers up the next item. So like the 3 and 4 are pretty close together. I want to make sure I don't make my hotspot so big that it'll cover up any of them. Okay, so now I'm going to take this and make it transparent so that you can't see it at all. So transparent. And notice if I click away, there's still a little bit of a line around the outside. That helps me kind of center it where I want it. And then once I'm done, I can, if I don't want the students to see that marker at all, I can even go in and just click on it once again to select here and make the border transparent as well. So I think this time I'll leave the border on just so you can see, but keep in mind, you don't notice the little crosshair when I go over the top of it. I don't have to have a border on that at all. It can be completely invisible if I want it to be, but just to demonstrate here, I'll leave it just a little bit visible. So I'm not going to put any text or any icons or anything like that because I already have it built into the picture. So now what I'll do is just replicate this transparent shape over each of my numbers. So to do that, I'm going to hold down Control and hit D to duplicate. Notice it's made a second one. So I need, looks like 12 of them, no, 14 for this. So I would just keep going and, make however many I need. I'm just going to do the first few here so you can see what it would look like. So I want to kind of center that. Having that outside helps to center it, but at the same time, it's not, I mean, if it's completely invisible, they're not going to see it anyway. So it should be fine. All right, so I'm going to bring that down. And you kind of have to decide, like, am I going to center over the number or am I going to center over the item? I think I'm going to center over the number. So I've got 3, 4, get 5 here. It's not going to be perfectly centered, but I'll get it on there as close as I can and not take too long. All right, 6, and then we'll go 7. And we've got one more here, so I'll go ahead and do 8. Now notice on 9 and 10, at least, we have 2 of the same number, so I would just put the same link on those. So now what I'm going to do with these transparent shapes is I'm just going to link them to wherever I need them to go. So if I want information to be on my slide deck, I can add additional slides. So I could go here and I could add maybe a kind of a body slide. And this one could be, very focused on this information on nucleolus, sorry. And then number 2 could be focused on nucleus. So I'll take this title and I will put it, whoops, that's the wrong presentation. I've got too much stuff open. So this would be, I didn't do Control Shift V to paste that without the formatting so that it comes in like the text box that I'm in here. And then I could add additional information here. So in this particular case, I would probably grab some content off of the page that's linked here and, go from that. So if this were the page that I'm using and it has all my content in it, obviously it would have more than just the title. It would have what I want them to see. So I can do it that way. And if I do that, I can link number 1 and just I can just get that hotspot. I can link it to slides in this presentation and link it to slide number 1 and hit apply. Okay, so that is now linked to slide number 1. For 2, for the nucleus here, we are going to just go down here. This is linked some additional information, so I can right click and copy that link address, or if I already have the link pulled up, I could copy the URL from here, and then I can literally just link this to an outside source. So I'm just pasting that. That's Wikipedia. Obviously, we would not use that in a real situation. I just wanted to have a quick reference so we could do this. Okay, and so you can decide how you want these to link. Now, if you are using more than one slide in this deck, so if, however you're going to share it with your students, so this would be animal cell, and I'll call it hotspot. Sorry. Remember what it is. Now what I would do is go to, well, like when I was finished with it, I would go to File and Publish to the Web. And when I publish to the web, I don't want it to advance, so I'm not going to set any of these things. I just want to publish it. So I'll hit publish here, say okay. And then I just need this link. And what I'll do to demonstrate it is I'll just right click and do go to so that you can see, but you could copy that link. And this is how it appears to your students. So if my student clicks on number 2, it's going to take them out to that additional information about a nucleus. If they click on number 1, because I have this link to another slide in this slideshow, it would go, or maybe I did not. Did I link it back to the same slide? I think I did. Yes, I did. Let me get rid of that link. Okay, so that shows you how easy it is to make a mistake here. So slides in this presentation, I didn't bother to look at which slide I linked it to. That's actually a way that you can keep them from being able to click on the slide, is to do like an overlay and link the whole slide back to itself so that they can't advance by just clicking on it, but then you would put your little boxes over the top of it. That's too much. That's extra information. So let me go back to this, and I'm going to just refresh it so that I have the most recent information. I didn't have to publish to the web again or anything. And now if I click on number 1, it should take me to the slide that has my nucleolus information. So then what you want to do, notice I want to be able to get back. So you would just need a kind of a home button, and you might use something like an image of a cell. So I could go in and do, back to something along those lines. So I can do my search the web, look for parts of a cell, and grab this same image if I want to, but just use a little tiny version of it and insert it, but make it small. So just drop it down in the corner here. And you could even put the word return to or something, but then I'll just link that back to that first slide or slide 1. I'll link it to the actual slide number, because if I ended up putting a title slide there. But make sure your students know when they're done, they click that. So here I'm on the information page. Let me refresh that so they can see my change. Then when I click this, it takes me back. And if I had a bunch of slides, that's how I would make it so that my students can click to the slide with information, but then get back to this diagram again and then go to a different link so that you can check out all the pieces of information. Okay, so that's one way to do it. Now, I will say if you go, and I'll do this on a different slide here. Let me just add a random slide, and I'll make the background, oops, not background. I'll do actually, we'll just do it from here. Okay, so if I do choose image on the background, but I choose an image that's not the right shape. So I'm going to just grab this one right here because I can tell right off that this is not going to be the right shape for this slide. The slide is basically an 11 by 8.5 right now. And so if I insert something that is a completely different shape, it's going to try to stretch it to the background. So you can see it. This one came in okay, but it does look kind of squished. So it had to fit into the space that was allowed there. And let me, again, what I had intended to do before I did that picture was to change that layout so that it's blank. So this one isn't too bad. And if you found an image like this was the image you wanted to use, but you don't want it to tell the students what these pieces are, here's a cool little trick for you. You can do this in Google Drawings as well, but you could go in and add like a little shape and cover the information that you don't want your students to see, and just make that white. White is different than transparent. Transparent is going to show, so I want the border to be transparent, but I want the box to be white. And then I can duplicate that little white box enough times and go in and cover the text without covering up any of the lines. See, I don't want to cover that red line at all. I just want to cover all of the text. So if I go in and just duplicate that little line and like if I get down here, do this again, Control D to duplicate. And if I pull it down here, I can put it where it's almost covering and then just stretch it a little bit over to make it cover everything. But once I get these all covered up, one thing I can do is go File, Download, and select PNG of just this current slide. And then when I have that PNG of just this current slide, I can download that. I'll just put it in my example folder here, Animal Cell, and it's going to, because I'm using a Chrome browser on a Windows PC, it's going to show up down here. So now what I could do for that background is choose image, and I'm going to actually select the one that I'll go to upload here, and I can browse or I can just drag. Since I have this right here, easy to get to, I can just drag it in there. And now it's in there with the, like I don't have to have little white boxes on it anymore, because now I've just replaced it with the one where there are no words, because I've removed them by covering them up and then downloading a picture and replacing the picture with the words with a picture without the words. And then I could go in and do hotspots at the end of each of these lines. So, that would be a good, I could do that little plus mark or a little I for information or whatever you wanted to use as a button, and then just link it. You can link an image, you can link a text box, you can link a shape, you can link your text itself, you can link anything you want to. So I can link it to other slides or to an external spot. I hope that's helpful. I'm Vicki Anderson, and just hit me up if you have any questions. You can reach my website at bit.ly/Vicki with a capital V and lowercase ICKI and an uppercase A for Anderson. All right. Thank you very much.